everyone, family. Welcome to Blacklogic. Happy Monday. I want to quickly go over something before we get into the Gotaways because we understand we have an illegal immigration problem and it has different arrays of races and ethnic groups all across the board. This is something I really wanted to point out to you guys. I don't know if anyone is aware of this particular legislation that has been introduced on September 19th. So not even a full week of 7 days has this bill been introduced to the Senate, to the House, to be passed. Now, Representative Maxwell, congressman out of Florida, has introduced this bill on that particular day. We're going to go over some of the particulars here because we've been fighting. Our ancestors, even our current writers, our grassroots advocates have been fighting for this even till this day. It states here to condemn racism and bigotry towards Haitian people. Now, this is the beginning, or this is the verbiage that they use in hate crime bills. So basically, this is an anti-hate crime bill for Haitian people, okay? And when Haitian really doesn't deal in race, but we understand that majority are Haitians, 95% are Black, okay? They have dark colored hue skin, so, but mostly with the nationality of being Haitian. I digress. So we're coming into the bill, and I want to point these things out because a lot of people are going to try to debunk this and state that, oh, Black Americans have had all sorts of legislation that gives them protection under federal law. Well, if I were to pop up certain legislation, whether it be someone will point out the Civil Rights Act. Well, if I popped up the Civil Rights Act, we understand that is for everyone. The Voting Rights Act, that is for everyone. The Fair Housing Act, that is for everyone. Juneteenth, everybody gets off on Juneteenth, especially if they are a government worker. They will try to pop up all sorts of various congressional resolutions, whether it be executive orders, etc., but nothing is specific for foundational Black Americans, U.S. freedmen, African Americans that are descendants of slaves in this country, okay? That is what you have not seen, whether it be H-Res 194, which was the apology for slavery and Jim Crow. What is the apology without the protection of the federal government? You guys recall H-Res 194. It was the resolution that was a formal apology from the U.S. House of Representatives, aka Congress, for slavery and Jim Crow laws. It's like an enemy of yours tortured you for, let's say, 10 years, and then all of a sudden they release you from torture and they say, hey, I'm sorry about that. And that's pretty much it, right? There was no money behind the bill. There was no restitution. There was no reparation. There was no repair. There was nothing. So again, apology for slavery and Jim Crow. And the question here is this, family: did that legislation get passed? H-Res 194, look it up. H-Res 1109. This resolution was recognized in Black History Month. And if you guys recall, I don't recall the governor or the Nigerian gentleman who was running for governor. I believe it was either Missouri or Minnesota, and this is before Tim Walz, of course. But I can't recall the exact state, but he was trying to eradicate Black History Month. And basically, H-Res 1109, recognizing Black History Month, was to recognize the contributions of Black Americans throughout U.S. history. The reason why there's a Black History Month, family, is because in American history, they don't teach about the achievements and strides and the contributions that Black Americans have made to America. So we had to set aside Black America because we understand when you basically take an American history class, it's about white America, majority of the time. Now, I'm born and raised in D.C., so we had D.C. history, we had American history, and we also had Black history. And Black history was taught all year round. When you meet folk who are not from a predominantly Black city and or town and or state, you start to see the only people they really know is George Washington Carver, Martin Luther King, and by the way of Malcolm X. Okay, and they always project Malcolm X in a bad light. That's because he was on code. He was on that business. He was going to give them their work if they try to harm him or any of his family and or brethren. Okay, so we're gonna get into the resolution here. This is the resolution of HRES 1473 to condemn racism and bigotry towards Haitian people, something that our people have been fighting for far too long. But we don't have any legislation that is comparable to this. Now, there's a lot here, so I'm only going to read the highlights. The reason why I gave you the reference is so you guys can go back and read it for yourself, because I don't deal in conjecture when we're talking about legislation and laws. I don't deal with rants, and I don't deal with misnomers or misinformation. And you can go to congress.gov for this information. Over 30 bomb threats and the threat of a mass shooting have been made in Springfield, Ohio. You guys remember when Donald Trump was speaking that the citizens of Springfield, Ohio, was stating that Haitian illegal immigrants were basically gathering up cats and dogs and geese and devouring them. We understand where that's going, okay? Now, when I think about the 30 bomb threats, what do you guys think of? I think of Tulsa, Oklahoma. The first time a U.S. city was bombed from an airplane, which was on a black, predominant, wealthy, well-to-do Black Wall Street city. The first time in American history was on a black city that was prominent. They had their own hospitals and clinics and car dealerships, all sorts of things, family. They just got the threats. We were actually bombed. Now, granted, I know that's history. I know that's a while. That hasn't happened in quite a while. But till this day, we still don't have any federal protection when it comes to legislation, okay? And most likely it's a piece of paper that states if you harm Black people unjustly, you will get prosecuted at the full extent of the federal law. We don't have it, okay? In some instance, that piece of paper can be very powerful to deflect, to deter, to scare people so they don't harm you unjustly, not in self-defense, unjustly, meaning as though people are committing racial white supremacy attacks just because the color of your skin, just because of your race, okay? So states here, since the spread of baseless and racist stories about Haitians or people of Haitian descent, the United States and Haiti share a history of fighting for independence and have been allies for over 200 centuries. That one statement here, this one sentence is so loaded. Now, America was fighting for independence from the British, and Haiti fought for independence from the French. Even though they were fighting for independence, we have to understand that America had their hand in the pot as well, even up until 1994, where Black Americans spoke out against this. Even Frederick Douglass, as well as their riders who came over here like W.E. Du Bois, spoke out against the American occupation of Haiti, which essentially American troops were withdrawn from Haiti so we couldn't extrapolate and exploit their resources. So that's a lot of history that one little statement is not depicting and telling the whole story here. So they're trying to say we have some common ground. Yeah, kind of murky waters there. You got to know a little bit of the history to understand that right there is one of those false positives, so to speak. It goes on to state that the U.S. has a long history of benefiting from the prevalence of Haitian doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, providing essential services, Haitian educators and scholars who have enriched American academia and inspired countless students, Haitian artists, musicians, and writers who have greatly influenced American culture, bringing unique perspectives and creativity, and Haitian community advocating for the social justice and the rights of everyone. Where is that for Black Americans? We had the exact same things 100 times over, even before the first Haitian even arrived in America, or as we were known, an influx or a great population of Haitians in America. And family, Haitians are our brothers, okay? Haitians are our sisters. I have nothing against Haitians. But what we have to do here is point out and display how other groups receive benefits, resources, and protection from our own government that we have yet to receive. And they called out their achievements. They don't display us in the same light. They do not. Okay. So here it also states, it says, resolve the House of Representatives strongly condemns and denounces all forms of discrimination, including racism, xenophobia, and bigotry towards Haitian people. Okay. Racism, xenophobia, bigotry. I hate you just because you're Haitian. That's what bigotry is about. Calls on all Americans to reject racist tropes and speak out against misinformation. Wow. Interesting.
I feel like there should be a no vacancy sign up right now, and people are still coming in.
The influx of Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, has stressed healthcare, schools, and the number of auto accidents has skyrocketed. The state has pledged $2.5 million to increase access to medical care, but Governor Mike DeWine says the federal government needs to step up.
They have to step up. It is their policies that have created these surges.
FBI data shows that violent crime in the city is up 142% from 2019 to 2022. The latest year data is available. Residents are fed up. Bill Monahan, a former journalist here, now part of a group called Stop the Influx.
It's causing sharp increases in rent and home prices, which is forcing people.
So you guys were aware, they gave the metrics, they gave the information on the influx of the crimes that was related to illegal immigrants. Okay. And not singling out Haitians at all. We're talking about all illegal immigrants. But I've been searching so we can have a neutral playing ground here, family, of how there's some federal sources stating that because of the influx of illegal immigration, crime is directly related to that. Then I have other government sources stating that there's no evidence to prove that. So as the American people, we're always caught in the middle. Who do we believe? Do we believe this person's or this entity's rhetoric or their false data? Or family, it's a shit show.
Forcing people out of their homes. It's causing delays in public safety responses like police, fire, especially police. Or even emergency services. You go out to a site and no one speaks English.
This man says he lost his job and now his home because of the influx.
And who replaced you? Cases to a temporary company because found out that they could get it for a lot less than $21 an hour.
But it is the topic of migrants eating pets and animals that has gone viral.
I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand.
They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them.
But local police and town officials say they cannot substantiate that.
There have not been any credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
So I guess the question is, family, who's lying? Are the residents lying? Are the residents paid actors from the Trump administration, from an independent source? Was the black guy a Trumper and he was actually paid? There's just so much information out here. And here's one of our sisters, okay? One of our sisters crying about what they're talking about Haitians, and she had to leave herself from work. Now, not to be divisive, I do have a response, but I want you guys to hear this very quickly.
I don't even know how to begin this. So I had to leave work today because I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying for the Haitian immigrants that had to travel from Venezuela or Brazil by foot to get to America just for a little bit of opportunity. I couldn't stop crying for my mom who came here without her family. She came to America to raise her daughter, to give her daughter opportunity. I couldn't stop crying for millions of Haitians who are going through it right now. I know I'm not the only one that's been dealing with the heaviness of the rhetoric that's been spread since the debate. And it's just so frustrating, so hurtful that a person could say such baseless statements and double down on it. But what's worse is that people who look like you, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of, cultural background, are siding with that, making jokes about it, and essentially perpetuating.
Well, I guess you really don't know Black Americans. We probably make a joke out of everything. Not saying that, not saying that's a good thing or not, but that's just who we are sometimes. Sometimes we have to laugh through the pain. But here's the thing, family. Haitians back in 1804, you guys remember that the War of 1804 where they eradicate all of the French enslavers, all the French colonizers there. Shout out goes out to Haiti and those warriors. But we're not dealing with some of the same people here. There's still millions of Haitians in Haiti that are on code, that are fighting for their freedom from all these Western colonial powers that are trying to extrapolate all their resources. So we're talking about the ones who are coming into America illegally and then tethering into the white supremacist class and speaking on their behalf. And we don't need people who are rioters to get on the coattails of white supremacy to thwart our fight for justice in our own country that we've been standing 10 toes down on ever since 1526. Okay. So you're going to have a lot of people on both sides of the board here, family. And again, this is not to be divisive at all towards Haitian immigrants at all, but we have to point out there's a difference in culture, and that really means something of how these people allude or contribute to a certain thing. Okay. So let's move on here, family. I didn't want to stay here too long, but I also want to show legislation that has been proposed to foundational Black Americans, African Americans, etc. Right now, when you look at this bill here, you see this is basically the beginning or have some teeth, and it can always be rewritten or amended as this was introduced to the House. Okay. And the House has yet to agree or pass it through. But again, this could be a ploy by the Democratic Party to have Haitian Americans to get on board if they were ever thinking about voting for the Republican Party. Okay, but we don't even have proposed legislation like this. I'm going to show you some of the legislations that we have. And I already pointed out some for you guys who are just joining. Someone's going to bring up the Civil Rights Act. You never seen African Americans in that one. Voting rights, fair housing, Juneteenth. You never see in the title like this where it actually say African Americans, foundational Black Americans, U.S. freedmen, anything like that. You don't see that, okay? So let me show you some legislation that does have that lingo, that does have the titling of that. Let's see what it's about. Let's see what this legislation is about. Okay, if you guys can see, let me pop this up for you guys. Here we go. It says here, African Americans through the musical heritage of U.S. African Americans. Oh, Appreciation Month. African American Music Appreciation Month. Okay, that'll do a lot for, Black Americans. Thank you, Congress. Okay, African Americans through the music heritage. Okay, same thing. Same thing. Oh, African American History Act. Oh, that can contribute to the protection of Black Americans who are getting brutalized by white supremacists and white supremacist groups. National Council on Black American History and Culture Act. Condemning revisionist education history as it relates to Black American experience. What else? Promoting minority health awareness. And then they threw in, of course, American Indians, Alaska Natives. So for everybody, Asian Americans, Hispanics. So that's for everybody. And it's agreed in the Senate. And so far it's stalled. Okay, we haven't seen any movement on that. And we also have a National Minority Health Month, and they included Black Americans. Don't forget, this particular legislation only has Haitian people. If you notice, they try not to write legislation that pertains to a particular race. They pertain to a particular nationality and or class, except for the COVID-19, which we also known as the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Bill. Let me move on. This one states Revolutionary Era activist, Masonic leader, and his lasting impact on Black America, National Council of Black American History and Culture, blah, 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 history, commissioned to study and develop reparation proposal for African Americans. What is a proposal, family? Is that a legislation or act or a bill that will grant Black Americans reparation? No, it's a proposal. It's a study. It's a proposal. It is. Listen, it's a nothing burger. Okay. Then this will introduce 2324, and has just been introduced. It hasn't went anywhere. What else? Recognizing the victims of the Port Chicago explosion of 1944. Okay, that was introduced. Nothing has moved on that. If you notice, and I'll just back up a little bit here, family. I want you guys just to see the highlighted parts of the bill tracker, right? Track, introduce. Okay, agreed in Senate, a resolution celebrating Black History Month, but it has not been signed into law. Okay, let's look. Agreed in the Senate, introduce, and I'm just scrolling everything that had African American in it, family. And there we have it. A nothing burger. So I'm gonna move on, and we're gonna focus on the topic of the day. I wanted to point those things out to you before we got into the heart of the video. Okay, this is coming from a homeland.house.gov. And we're talking about gotaways. I don't know if you guys are familiar with gotaways, but a gotaway refers to individuals who successfully evade Border Patrol agents while crossing into the U.S., right? Ever since President Biden took office, the numbers have skyrocketed. And to put things into perspective, it's estimated that there were over 860,000 gotaways in fiscal year of 23. Now, that's nearly the population of a city. As a matter of fact, that's a population of a lot of small cities in America. Now, you might be wondering, was this allowed by the Biden administration? Because critics argue that several policies have contributed to the surge. For example, okay, the Remain in Mexico policy and the suspension of the migrant protection protocols that have been highlighted as a significant factor leading to increased crossings and consequently more gotaways. These policies have effectively weakened border enforcement, allowing many of these people, some with criminal backgrounds, not all, some with criminal backgrounds, to slip through the cracks. Now, the question is there any legislation or bills that approve or support these policies? Well, if you look into HRES 1065, which denounces Biden's immigration policies and urges the administration to provide stronger enforcement measures, including reinstating deportation protocols and better border security strategies. These resolutions, or yet this resolution, highlights a critical point of contention. Why? The administration perceived negligence in securing the southern border. Because if we look at current crimes that are linked to the gotaways, right? Recent reports have linked gotaways to a disturbing range of offenses, right? A shocking case that has come to light involved a gotaway who was accused of raping a preteen child in Nantucket. You guys heard about the cases in Nantucket. We're going to go over it, right? And this particular individual was released on bail. He was released on bail. Think about that. Illegally in the country, and allegedly took advantage of a preteen and was released on bail before ICE could detain him. Do you think ICE caught up with him? No. Let's go to this right here, family. Homeland.house.gov. In fiscal year 23, Customs and Border Patrol, also known as CPB, arrested over 35,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions nationwide, including roughly 600 known gang members. In addition, 294 illegal aliens on the terrorist watch list. On the terrorist, not the gang, not the cartel, but the terrorist watch list have been apprehended at the southwest border ports of entry since the beginning of fiscal year 21. And those are the only individuals Border Patrol agents have caught. Not only are dangerous individuals attempting to cross our border, but deadly drugs are too. You guys heard about the fentanyl up in there. I think it was Wisconsin or Wyoming or South Dakota, up in those really less populated Midwestern states. It states that the individual Border Patrol agents have caught, let me move on, last fiscal year, CPP, including air and marine operation, seized over 27,000 pounds of poisonous fentanyl coming across the southwestern border, enough to kill around 6 billion people. I'm not fear-mongering, family. I'm reading the website. I don't deal in fear-mongering. These are facts coming from homeland.house.gov. Notably, federal officials estimate they are only able to seize 5 to 10% of all fentanyl smuggled across the southwestern border. And just think, they seized over 27,000 pounds of this poisonous substance that can kill around 6 billion people. Think about that. The world is only 8 billion people when you put that into contrast. Okay? When you put that into contrast. I see I have Volvo, MD Williams, DSB, my warrior brother. Nice to see you guys in the room. Go ahead and put your comments in the chat. I'll get to them later. Okay? Now, it also states in the next paragraph here, and I'll blow that up for you guys on your cell phones. As more illegal aliens than ever before turn themselves in to Border Patrol in order to avail themselves of Secretary Mayorkas' mass catch and release policies, the chief patrol agents highlighted in their interviews the national security threats posed by illegal aliens who still avoid apprehension and what their backgrounds and intentions may be. Something to think about, family. Something to really think about here, okay? And again, this is coming from a government source. If you notice, I try to get verifiable sources. Now, this not so much, but let's see what they have to say here, okay? Let's see what they have to say here. Let's get the news report. And this is coming from the New York Post, okay?
Sitting down with Zachary Apotheker, a current Border Patrol agent who is speaking out about the issues that he's seen unfold with the surge in illegal immigration under the Biden-Harris administration. Zachary, thank you so much for joining me today. Given that you're a current Border Patrol agent, you definitely are up against a lot when you decided to speak out about the situation at the southern border and actually the northern border where you work currently. Could you tell me why you decided to ultimately come forward?
Of course, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think it's very important for the public to know. First and foremost would be love of God. Second would be love of my country. I haven't done nearly as much for this country as many other men and women who have sacrificed everything, literally everything in their families. They've given the greatest sacrifice, their life, but also men and women who are in the military constantly doing everything that they can, and people that fought in wars. So my love of country would come second, and third would be my love of my family. I see what this country is turning into right now, and I don't want my family to have to suffer the consequences. And if they do have to suffer those consequences, I want to be able to say that I tried to stop it and I spoke out against it.
Tell me what you've seen that you want the American people to know from the perspective of a Border Patrol agent. What do you see, from when you were working on the southern border? Because you did start out there, and then you moved up to the northern border into one of the hardest hit sectors. So tell me, what were some of the alarm bells that you wanted to share?
Well, the biggest one would be no biographical information for children under 14 years old. We see now in the news that's over 300,000 children missing. We don't have any data on them, and we're not checking the addresses that we're sending these children with these people to, and we're not connecting these families. We have no actual proof other than the documents they may or may not give us that these children are with these people. They could be drugged. They could just be forced to say that this is my dad. They could be coming into the country, then leaving the country and being rented out to another family to come. Unmitigate, we're just sending numerous thousands and thousands and thousands of people into the country, giving them money, giving them plane tickets, not us, but NGOs, non-governmental organizations, giving them resources that really should be going to the American people. I'm an apolitical person, and I just wanted to do my job and protect this country. But when I see people from another country coming here, getting resources beyond what the American citizen can get, that's where I have to draw the line. And then they're going out and committing crimes, and we're still not removing them. And American citizens are being killed. Women are being raped. And I just want to read these 4 names: Kayla Hamilton, Lincoln Riley, Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungaray. I'm sure there's more, and if I'm missing you, I'm sorry, but those names haunt me because we're allowing these people to come in, we're encountering them, and we're giving them resources to come into the country and commit crimes. What I want the American people to know is that what you're hearing is basically true. I haven't seen anything more. I don't have any information that you don't know. But what I've seen the amount of people, and it's going to be bad. However bad you think it is now, it's only going to be worse. These people are having children, and they're coming here, and I don't believe it's legal. They're not showing up to their court dates. They're not being removed, and they're getting resources, and that's wrong.
Is that what's happening now? Are those people?
No, thousands, if not millions of people are presenting themselves with neck pillows, telling us to hurry up. I want in, and I'm hungry, and I'm thirsty. Well, if you're so hungry and thirsty, why'd you come to my country so I could feed you? That ain't my job. I ain't a babysitter. You came here expecting what? I never put my hand out. I work for everything I have. Go back in my history, never took a dime from nobody. And you want to come here and get free stuff? That you should be ashamed of yourself. That's cowardly. That's not what people should be doing. If you have able body and sound mind, you should stay in your own country, work, and do what's right. Don't come here expecting me to pay you to eat and pay you to sit around, get all these free benefits. I don't mind doing that for people that need it, that fought for me and for and fought for my freedom. We had a 20-year war. There's a lot of veterans that went out there and they came back without arms and legs and missing body parts. They're missing body parts. They can't get the care they deserve. They got to stop private funds. Why aren't we taking care of those people? But yet these bums come from other countries and they want their stuff. You're taking stuff away from them. That ain't right. And I ain't doing it no more. I don't want to do it no more. I'm going to speak out. And whatever happens to me, happens to me. That's who I care about. And we're not taking care of them.
Well, Zachary, I can't thank you enough for speaking with.
All right, I saw some comments from my buddy DSB. He said, I bet this white guy talking could care less if FBA gets a dime. I do agree. But a guy was pretty passionate about this illegal immigration, and he didn't call out any race, didn't call out any ethnic. But the one thing that he did point out is that people are coming to the border and stating that they're hungry, they're thirsty. And he was like, hey, we have veterans, we have homeless people, that a lot of these resources from these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, are putting up billions of dollars, okay, because they're incentivizing illegal immigration for a cheaper workforce than hiring American citizens, because you got to at least pay American citizens minimum wage. So that was some of the points that I wanted you to take from that. But hey, take it however you want to take it. I don't want to lead you down the road. But ever since we had this influx of gotaways, and that's what we're calling them, and I'm only speaking about the criminal class of illegal immigrants, okay? I'm not talking about people who are coming over here, even though, again, I do believe in that the opportunities should be created in your own country, because people will state that, well, my country don't have opportunities. How do you believe that America had these opportunities? Because they were created by Americans. That's the only way your country will have opportunities. You have to create your opportunities in order to build jobs and enterprise and etc. Because when we look at a lot of the crimes that are now occurring, especially the one that I pinpointed earlier by the way of Nantucket, okay, these horrific incidents are not isolated. Because if you look at some of the statistics that has revealed by the Border Patrol, for over 43,000 arrests of illegal aliens with criminal backgrounds, okay? And if we compare that against fiscal year 2021, that has been a 99% increase from prior years. This signifies a border trend of violent crimes including sexual assaults and drug offenses that are associated with the Gotaways. Now, the Gotaways, I'm naming them, I'm labeling them as the criminal class of illegal immigrants, even though if you are illegal immigrant, okay, you did commit a crime, but we're talking about those violent crimes, sexual assaults, and drug offenses, not the ones who are just coming over here looking for jobs. I'm not talking about those guys, okay? We've talked about them for quite some time. Now we're focusing on these Gotaways because many are left with questioning how many more situations like the Nantucket case. In fact, the number of known Gotaways at the border exceeds, listen to this, family, it exceeds 1.7 million. And how many of these individuals pose significant public safety threats? Because in fiscal year 23, the number of individuals apprehended illegally crossing the border while found to be on the terrorist watch list increased an alarming 2,500% compared to previous years. Now, this information here is coming from Josh Holloway. He is the I think he's the senator of Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, don't quote me on that, but I believe he's the senator of Missouri. And it states here that the removals of 29 was over 350,000, but 171,000 of those people returned. And see, what is 1.7 million known Gotaways is coming from the Department of Homeland Security statistics. So these numbers, I'm not just fraudulating and giving you these fictitious numbers. These are actual real numbers, family, that I research, okay? And then you also have these stories to back them up as well.
Donald Trump's decision to make JD.
Hold on, big fella. Now, did you guys see that last 45-second clip that now they have apprehended Hamas fighters crossing into America from Mexico? I'm not making this up, family. I'm not making this up. Okay. Hopefully the New York Post have done some investigative journalism. But I want you guys to see this clip one more time. And please read. I'm going to try to blow it up and get the sound right. So bear with me here. Migrants from Gaza arrive at Texas border. Look at this, family. Let me get the sound right. All right. I'm just reporting the news here, fam. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but they're stating they already captured 3 people from Gaza that are linked to Hamas in some form or fashion, okay, allegedly. But nonetheless, now we have people from foreign wars who are in actual conflict and battles, leaving their current situation, crossing through the southern border. And that's what a lot of people are not understanding, how big the immigration problem is. There are all sorts of people that are entering our country illegally through the southern border. So it is a large problem. It's a large problem. But what can be done to decrease or even stop the crisis? Now, the reality is this. We need comprehensive immigration reform that addresses not just border security, but also creates a legal pathway for immigration, better than the one we have now, thereby reducing the incentive for illegal crossing in the first place. They're being incentivized. Because listen, family, if the reports from other illegal immigrants inside the country say, hey man, don't come here, they're locking us up, they're putting us in entrapment camps. Would you come? If once you come into America, they're going to throw you in some sort of detainment camp and then send you back? No, you probably don't even waste your time. But they say, hey, you come over here, they're giving you EBT cards, they're giving you cash, they're giving you an apartment, they're letting you get a driver's license, they're going to give you all the jobs, etc. That's the reality of a lot of Americans, because communities across the U.S. are feeling the impact. Places like Arizona, Texas, California, a lot of those border states, they see rampant crime that is attributed to the Gotaways, including theft, arson, drug trafficking, as well as things that are related to sexual assaults. And a lot of these are often linked to organized crime and cartels that is exploiting our very porous border situation. And now we have information that people from Gaza are now entering into America through the southern border by the way of Mexico. And we have a lot of staggering numbers, fam. We have statistics, we have information, we have personal reports. How can we continue to ignore this? That's the question I have. How can we continue to ignore this? Because let's make it black real quick. Let's make it black. And for all the non-black Americans in the room, you can listen as well. Because I talk about America now, we're going to make it a little black. We're going to biggity black this thing up in here. Because the influx of illegal immigrants have created a multitude of challenges for the black community across the United States. And one of the most significant issues is the economic burden it places on these communities where we have large pockets of black Americans. Jobs that were once available, and you heard the previous white guy, he was talking about, yeah, I got fired and they hired some Haitians. Now, we don't know if he just wasn't doing a good job, drinking on the job, sleeping on the job, wasn't showing up at the job, and then you got fired and some Haitians. We don't know, right? But again, jobs that were once available to our people are being taken by illegal immigrants. And remember how the Democrats, again, for you guys who are new to Blacklogic, I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican. I'm just on some black empowerment stuff, okay? But here's the thing. Remember the Democrats, well, the illegal immigrants are not coming over here taking your jobs. The illegal immigrants are not coming over here committing crimes. But we continue to have stories and news and video clips and information and personal accounts. But they telling us that the sun is not hot and that Antarctica isn't cold. And yet a lot of us are still believing this. And if they're not taking some of the jobs, they have been contributing to the reduction and the reducement of the amount of money you're getting paid, your wages, your salary, your income. But this has led to higher rates of unemployment for the black community. Furthermore, it increases competition. And that's what I've heard a lot of people say. Think about this, family. It increases competition for jobs that has also led to a rise in crimes in our neighborhoods when people are struggling to make ends meet. They're more likely to turn to illegal activity to survive. So some people say, oh, that's what it is. You guys are jealous of all these illegal immigrants coming over here with all this education and skills and et cetera. No, they're not. They're getting trained on the job. And it's not a fear of competition because we're competing against our fellow Americans. But now we have a whole nother working class that are illegally in the country that we should not be competing against. That's what people are not pointing out. See, I want people from these other countries who are speaking up, or even some Americans are speaking up for illegal immigrants. I want them to flip it. I want them to say, well, what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if it directly affected you? What if you was in another country and this was occurring? How would you take it then? What if you got let go, fired, and then they hired 3 people to do your one job. How would that make you feel? No one is taking it personal, right? Because it has not affected them. Now, if it has not affected you, then probably you can't take it personal. But what's the point of data? What's the point of metrics, statistics, information, predictive analysis? What is the point of it all if we don't use it for our benefit? I've been saying this for about a year and a half. It's coming to a city near you, in places where I couldn't even imagine. The Dakotas, cartels in South and North Dakota, Utah, really? And what people are not understanding, family, this creates a vicious cycle of poverty and crime that's difficult to escape, because the strain on local resources means that social services, which are already scarce in our communities, are being stretched to their breaking point. And another issue that often is overlooked is the impact of illegal immigrants on the education system in Black communities. Because schools are being flooded, and you guys, you know this, I know this, schools are being flooded with non-English speaking students, which puts a strain on the already limited resources available to our Black students. And this can lead to a decrease in the quality of education, which is, we already know, has been decreased. And think about, furthermore, making it even harder for our students to succeed. The lack of jobs, increased crime, strain on the resources, these all contribute to a decline in the overall quality of life in our communities. It's, again, a vicious cycle that has perpetrated by the presence of illegal immigrants, and it's essential that we address it. Now, one of the most striking statistics that really illustrates the impact of illegal immigrations on Black communities is the fact, and this is coming from a study by the Center of Immigration Studies, the employment rate for Black men without a high school diploma dropped from 60% in 2000 to just 40% in 2015. Now, this is a staggering decline. These are brothers without high school diplomas, and it directly contribute to the influx of illegal immigrants taking jobs that would have otherwise gone to Black people. And another statistic that often cited is the fact that, according to the FBI, 50% of all gang members, 50% of all gang members in LA are illegal immigrants. There you go, LA. There you go. 50%. 50% of gang members in California, in LA, are illegal immigrants, according to the FBI. This is a city, now LA, believe it or not, once had a high concentration of Black people. We know that's dwindling, okay? And it's clear that the presence of illegal immigrants is contributing to the high crime rates, even in the Black communities. So it's not just statistics that tell the story. Personal stories are just as important, okay? Because we've spoken and we've seen and we've heard Black people in communities who've seen their neighborhoods devastated by the influx of illegal immigrants. They've seen their friends and family members struggling to find jobs, and they've seen the crime rate skyrocket. These are real people with real stories, and it's time that we listen and we put them on Front Street so they get the resources and help and support that they need, because the impact of illegal immigration on our community is real. And it's time that we acknowledge it. It's not about being anti-immigrant. It's not about that, family. I'm not anti-immigrant. You're not anti-immigrant. It's about recognizing the need for comprehensive immigration reform that works for everyone. A pathway to legal citizenship. Not you come over illegal, and because the Democrats may want votes or may want, they're in cahoots with some of the Fortune 500 business to the low working blue collar jobs, that they allow immigration at a certain rate and certain percentage, that they're incentivizing to increase that number, because America has a declining birth rate. Maybe that's what it is. But we're bypassing all federal laws when it comes to immigration. Yeah, just come on in. We're going to catch and release, got these gotaways. Now they're causing crimes and all sorts of corruption in America. We've seen the statistics. We heard the personal stories. Let me see what you guys are saying over here. DSB says they couldn't even answer the question. It's the couch for him in 2024 here in Greenville, Mississippi. They're everywhere. In Greenville, Mississippi, they're everywhere. Wow. Appreciate that, MD Williams. Got my good brother Jermaine Anderson in the room. Shout out goes out to you, brother. DSB states that right now, as we speak, they're looking for a way to blame non-Black crimes on the Black community. Also, remember me saying this when the immigrant gangs clash with the Black gangs. Watch they use give immigrants a hate crime bill. Wow. You know what? If I didn't see this, you know, I would fight back against you, DSB, but if I didn't see this, then we would have a little debate. But since I've seen this and they already proposed this, well, God damn it, you're right. You're right, DSB. But family, I know I came to you midday. I know some of you guys may watch Monday Night Football, so I came to you a little bit early for you guys who watch football, okay? So nonetheless, there you have it. I thank you guys for joining me. Please share this to other people who find interest in this. And listen, if you're new to Blacklogic, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you don't want to subscribe, then don't hit it. But nonetheless, you guys have a great, wonderful day. Be one.